It was a normal morning in Washington, D.C. when the alarm bells went off at the Department of Defense. At approximately 9:17 a.m., analysts monitoring secure communications noticed something unusual. An unencrypted file was circulating on Signal, a private messaging app primarily known for its strong end-to-end encryption. But this wasn't just any file. It contained classified military data, troop movements, weapons schematics, and the locations of critical operations abroad. At first, officials thought it was a prank, some sort of elaborate hoax. But as specialists pieced together metadata from the app and cross-referenced the leaked information, the horrifying truth became undeniable. The documents were authentic. A breach of this magnitude was catastrophic. Signal was famed for its security, so how had classified information ended up on the app? Within hours, investigations revealed an unsettling explanation. A high-ranking military officer, attempting to share briefing materials with colleagues, had mistakenly sent files to the wrong Signal group chat. Instead of using a secure government platform, they'd used Signal, a tool intended for personal use, with just one fatal misstep: forwarding the confidential file to a group containing both colleagues and personal contacts. One of the personal contacts was a journalist. The journalist was astonished when they opened the file. Initially, they weren't even sure what they were looking at: schematics, deployment schedules, confidential meeting minutes. This was the kind of information most reporters could only dream of receiving. But as they sat frozen in shock, another alert arrived. A panicked follow-up message from the sender, pleading for the file to be ignored and deleted. By then, it was too late. Word had spread. News organizations pounced on the story as it reached the public mere hours later, thanks to the journalist discreetly tipping off their editor. Headlines across the country splashed terms like Signal Scandal and America's Military Leak Nightmare. Social media exploded as hashtags like #Signalgate and #LeakGeddon trended worldwide. Critics, from DC pundits to international rivals, questioned how a nation with one of the most sophisticated defense networks in the world could allow such a simple human error to expose critical vulnerabilities. The incident demonstrated a fundamental failure in leadership, and trust in the government's ability to secure sensitive information was called into question. The fallout was immediate. The officer responsible was relieved of duty, but that wasn't the end of it. The White House issued an emergency statement, urging calm and assuring the public that no lives had yet been compromised. But behind closed doors, chaos brewed. Agencies scrambled to mitigate damage, pulling troops from exposed locations and rerouting high-stakes operations before adversaries could capitalize on the intelligence. Meanwhile, cybersecurity analysts uncovered alarming ripple effects. Within hours of the leak, foreign state actors appeared to have intercepted screenshots on social media platforms, likely attempting to reverse engineer the strategies laid out in the files. Domestic trust in the government sharply declined, as polls showed 63% of Americans believed the incident demonstrated a fundamental failure in leadership. For Signal, the debacle was a PR nightmare. Though the officer had misused the app, critics cast doubt on whether its encryption policies inadvertently encouraged overconfidence in its security. Signal issued a statement clarifying that while their platform was secure, human error fell outside their responsibility. But the controversy only deepened questions about how digital tools are integrated into sensitive military operations. Weeks later, the Senate convened special hearings on tech use in national security, bringing tech CEOs and military leaders face-to-face in a high-stakes interrogation. Reporters described the sessions as tense and acrimonious. Legislators pushed for stricter regulations on technology use within the armed forces, but experts countered that no legislation could entirely eliminate human error. By the end of it all, the Signal scandal served as a haunting reminder. In the digital age, it isn't just complex cyber attacks or insider threats that can undermine national security. Sometimes, colossal breaches stem from something as simple and as profoundly human as clicking the wrong button. America had learned a harsh lesson, but the real question lingered in the air. Had its enemies learned even more?